Thank you, Mike. My name is Bob, and I'm an addict. He won't do nothing I tell him anyhow, so it don't make any difference. We have to put out our nut hand or our addict hand at times, to call I protest. I'm not going to do that. That's not me anyhow. And any message that I might give is not determined by me as to whether it's good or bad. It's determined by you. That's not my decision. And the message that I might pass on tonight may be the message that hopefully is channeled through that I've come to believe that I'm only an instrument for a message. And I don't know where it's going and where it comes from. I want to hopefully that I can be as honest as possible in conveying whatever message I might give. Because I know that recovery does work, Narcotics Anonymous does work, because I've taken the time to work it. And I can only go back a piece and say sometime for identification purposes, because many of us walked in the room with Narcotics Anonymous, and we assume that the clean faces and smiles and such that we see here, that we walk into a room where they got their shit together. We don't realize we have come into a room of sick mothers. And that we recover together. Alone we're in deep of mess, And I only can, convey it from that standpoint because that was my first impression when I walked into Narcotics Anonymous. They didn't understand. They hadn't been where I'd been or done the things I've done or had the things done to you that I felt that was very unfair because I didn't understand that life is life and it presents itself in many forms. And you can be subject to whatever the life situation you're in at any given time. For a lot of years, they say I thought I was dealt a bad hand in the first place. Right from the jump, I was dealt a bad hand. And I used to, carry that bag along with me, the hand that I was dealt. I used to carry that bag around because anybody would ask me, I'd dump that bag of shit out and show it to them. And say, if you had all this shit happen to you, you'd be a dope fiend too. See, I had this person that was going to, develop the character. I don't know of anybody here that, some people think they were born an addict. I don't believe so. It's something that comes about by we develop the character that's going to become an addict. And it takes a lot of doing to do that. It's just not by happenstance that occurs. We're very often introduced into an environment that brings about all these particular things that goes along with what becomes the character of an addict. And initially I thought it was just a case of the time I was born. I was born before the Depression. They give you a good kind of time fix. There's not a lot of old addicts in here. It's only a couple of us in here. Does that give you any idea of how long addicts live? There's no whole lot of old addicts in here. So, if you got any idea if you wanted a long life, you better stop using and try to start living because you only pass this way once. But I grew up before the Depression. I was born before the Depression. That was the Depression way back then. During Prohibition would give you a time fix. Okay? Times were hard. By history, times were hard. But as a kid growing up, I knew very little about times being hard. All I wanted was a piece of bread and some beans and a place to, some cover over my head and some very kind of things like mother's love, some closeness, some attention. And it seemed like in my family, Pops left home because he wasn't satisfied. For whatever reason. Mom may have run him off. I don't know. I never have got that one together. Because Mom never did talk about things. See, we didn't have no communication. And one of the communications that I took on early, if there was no love available in my household. There was always a constant thing of, I wanted some attention. Mom, I'm over here. Check me out, Mom. Hey, Bob's over here. You know, by whatever means I wanted to get some attention, like I was important, or I was somebody, or feel a sense of, a closeness or warmth, And I didn't have it in my house. But many things that I'm relating today are things in retrospect, because at the time they were occurring, I only reacted to them. I didn't know these things were happening. I found out the person that was, very needy in the terms of needing some attention. And I sought many ways in order to do that. I developed methods of how you get attention. I found if I stayed sick, got attention. I got bleed on things, I got attention. If I broke something, I got attention. Huh? And then if all else failed, you throw a rock, you get some attention. Okay? Even negative attention was better than no attention. Ass whipping, I used to get them constantly. But that was better than no attention, because I would do it anyhow. It's like I wanted some recognition as to I was somebody or something, And I didn't care how I got it. But while it was happening, I didn't know why I was reacting to things. I reacted to things in a negative way. So I shut down in terms of communication. I shut that down early also, because Mom didn't want to hear it. It's called do what I say do, period. Don't ask why. I learned to, got tired of getting a fat lip, because I always had an answer. I had an answer for everything, Mom would ask me something or tell me to do something, and my mouth would fly open, to protest or not want to do or whatever the case is. And then the first reaction was, bam, like, what did I do now, So I know how to learn how to start turning in things. Called be quiet, don't talk about it, or I don't want to hear it. And it was a constant thing, I don't want to hear it. So I just stopped talking, as far as that part was concerned. And we didn't talk about feelings, even my brothers and sisters, we didn't talk about how we felt. It was something that, you feel something, and they were always telling you how you're supposed to feel anyhow. You're strong, aren't you happy? Aren't you sad? Aren't you this? Aren't you that? And half the time I was always contrary to how they said I was supposed to be feeling, So I was doing a lot of pretending. I found out somebody was talking about earlier. I learned how to put on the mask of pretense. Of when everything was maybe going shitty, I could make it look like it was going okay. I learned how to put on fronts early. It's what I show you, what I present to you as to who I am and what I am. I could learn how to do that and dress it up real good to make it look good. First impression was great for me. I just wanted to know what you wanted. And I could impress you as to that's who I was, or that's what I am. And most addicts I know have that seemingly that potential to put on that front to be somebody that they think that others want to see. We have a good pretense thing that we can do. We can turn it on, just like 1, 2, 3. What do you want to get what I want? That's how I done it. For a lot of years I've done that. I got through school through the same pretense. What do you want, teacher? I know how to do that. And I would show them that I could dazzle them for a hot second to make them seem that I understood what was going on. Even if I didn't understand, I pretended I knew what was going on. And I put on, you're developing the character that's going to become an addict. I lived in fantasy land. And I used to love to live in fantasy land. I was other places doing other things at all times. My head was constantly in motion. This thing up here was constantly in motion. It was always tripping. It was never satisfied where it was. It always wanted to be over there somewhere, doing something else over here. Brain just flipping. And one of my great escapes was, the fellow was reading, one of my great escapes was reading. I could get in the cover of the books and disappear. I could become the hero of the day, the villain tomorrow, or whoever see me having fun, and I could become. And I could get in the cover there and just disappear and pretend, live a life of pretense. And so I've done a lot of pretending. And I have not that it was any case that I ever set out to become a bad guy or I wanted to be a bad kid. I wanted to be one of both. And it was called where I was at any given time. I wanted the plaudits, the pats on the back, the rub on the head, the compliments and all these things. And then one side, that seemingly what the good kid got. Okay? But my partners over here kind of like frowned on it. Okay? So I had learned how to split that split personality. Over here, I was a good little kid, up straight, yes ma'am, no ma'am, thank you, and all this good stuff, and doing all the right things. Then I would turn that corner, and seemingly there a transformation takes place, you know. The hat goes around back, the shirt tail come out, cigarette in the mouth, dragging the leg, you know. I became two different people, you know. It was hard switching back and forth at times. You know, it was kind of a thing that you cross that line, or going home or going away from home, that you cross that line, that transition took place. You know, it just flip-flop, huh? And sometimes you forget, you know, and carry it home with you, you know. And Mom used to whip everything in shape, you know, because she didn't play that shit. You know? So it was always a constant battle with myself in a lot of instances when growing up, you know. But I learned how to put on this here thing of pretense real early. My first addiction was stealing. I used to love to steal people's shit. I felt good when I had your stuff. And it was something very often, a lot of nonsensical stuff. There's nothing that I had. You're talking about big stings were, you know, going into five and dime and getting a handful of these and a handful of those to pass out to my partners and make me feel like I was somebody. Because he used to pat me on the back and say, oh, yeah, Bobby, hey, yeah. And that made me feel good. Eh? So I'd just go steal some more. And steal some more. You know? And I thought you get slick enough that you don't get caught. Or you run fast enough you don't get caught. Whatever the case is, you get away. And you think you got your game down. You think that you can't be touched. Because you don't run foul of the law. You know, you may be questioned on occasion of where you get that, you know. Because Mom would see me with some strange shit. And you know, Joe give it to me. You know, it wasn't mine. I'm just holding it. Moms knew better, but you know, sometimes it's just an ass whipping, you know, and said you got to straighten up your mitt, you know. It was not getting caught. I think sometimes if we're not caught in those times, we developed this here thinking that we got away clean, that we got the game down. I thought I was a master criminal. That's all I was stealing is diamond, five and dime stuff. But I was a master criminal, as far as I was concerned. So, you know, I developed this here character, and I learned how to lie early. I learned how to cheat. I learned how to shortcut. I learned how to play all the funny games. Does not feel these things of not feeling up on things, or not feeling good about me. My environment was one of them, as I said, it was called, I grew up in Cleveland on the wrong side of the track from a broken family with lots of kids on welfare and all this good shit. Okay? And, you know, I thought I had more coming than that. And I went out, I wanted to get out and get it. So it was a case of, you know, always not wanting to be where I was or trying to be somewhere else or be somebody else on a regular basis, you know. And that's the way I got through school. I scammed through school enough to get just enough to get by, to get through school. And then I was always running away from home, and I don't know, like a lot of people don't have an extended family. We didn't have an extended family. My mom cut her family off, and as far as I'm concerned, cousins and aunts and uncles' house I don't have. Grandma's house can't run to. No grandma. You know, so it was a case of not having an extended family about running away. I was smart enough to know that have some place to run when you're running away. So I wasn't running away from nothing. You know, I know where the beans and shit was, you know. And it wasn't going to be no better around the corner because there was nothing around the corner. I ain't know nobody around the corner. Okay? So it was a case of World War II come about, and then it was a case of them drafting people and all the brothers and sisters and everybody going to the war camp and everything, and Bob's time's coming up, you know. So Bob and one of my partners say, hey, let's go down and sign up, and we can go where we want to go, you know. And I would thought about going to be the conquering hero, and the hero come back and be a one man, we did men over here, good man, hey, you know, all that good shit, you know. So I run off to the war camp, you know. And I ain't started using nothing yet. See, I told you I wasn't carrying that shit home to Mom because Mom whipped everything in shape at home, so I was running away from home real quick, you know. She whipped everything in shape. She didn't care how big it was. She just whipped it, you know. So I wasn't carrying that stuff home, you know. It said she got fear down early. See? And I wasn't carrying no stuff like that home because that's where I had to stay because I didn't have a place to run away to. When I got old enough to run away to the Army, that's what I did. Run away to the service, and it became a thing of taking the position of man. Now, my role models was a sucker standing on the corner with a long car with 2 or 3 old ladies talking loud and, and punching suckers in the mouth. An opportunity to do that legally was to go join the Army. Because they just turn out to kill people and punch suckers in the mouth and kick them in the head. So I thought that was a position of man. Huh? I'm in the war camp. And men. And when we're at the end of the day, we say, what are we going to do? Let's go have some fun. And let's go have some fun. What are we going to do? Let's get the money together and go get something so we can have fun. Sound okay to me? And I would find out, I start bending the elbow. Hey, you drink any of this stuff before? Yeah, shit, I had some of that. Yeah. I seen they were taking it, holding it down. Yeah, I can do that. Yeah. And it was very strange, my first occasion of drinking about was one of these occasions of chaos, of talking about problems. I started throwing up, started waking up and having bad time with that stuff, And then they told me, you're not supposed to do it like that. You got to do it like this, So we switch off and change this here combination to that combination, But I noticed there's a transformation that took place somewhere in between the first inception and the waking up problem. Called Don't Give a Shit. And I always wanted to operate under that kind of a guise. Man's position was don't give a shit. And I thought I was doing good. But we always set out to have a good time. And it was always equated about getting loaded, have a good time. So it was the introduction of, have tried a little of this. Have you tried any of this yet? Of course I've tried some of that. I've seen them do it. I can do that. I know how to toke. I said, you get like, I can handle that. And they seem to be real cool, right? Bad news again. Cough like a dog, Didn't know where I was going. Things looked strange. Then I wanted to eat up everything. Bad news. So I always equated going out to have a good time with using something. Everybody else wanted to go to Europe. I wanted to go to the Far East because I heard about the Far East because I heard some fascinating things happening over there. It was intriguing to me, because I had read in some of them books about things happening over there. Eh? Bob wanted to go. Because Bob always stored in his head the things he wanted to do. I'd read about stuff and store it away. Bob wanted to do some of that shit. Some of that too, shit. He had a plan, Just go out and check it out. I heard about opium dens in the Far East. When I got to the Far East, I went looking for them. And I found. In the next 10 years, I was running all over the world, trying little substances all over the world. And I knew nothing about drug addiction because nobody told me anything about drug addiction. They told me nothing about the disease, told me nothing about the progression of the disease, and that this here disease is terminal. I thought it was fun and game. And I used it as fun and game. It was my fun substance. It always started out as being a fun thing. Always started out being a fun thing. A little of this and a little of that just to feel good. And I thought no feelings was feeling good. And I found out any time that a feeling that would come up that was uncomfortable, I would put something in to take care of it, to fix it. And I would spend a long time fixing my feelings so I didn't have to feel. I knew nothing about addiction, but I was using on a regular basis, on a daily basis, and knew nothing about addiction. Not knowing where it would carry me. I used heroin for a whole year and didn't know what hook was. Didn't know what hook was until I got hooked. But I learned some valuable lessons because right along with that you find out some lessons that you must learn in the process in order to maintain a habit. You can't get too far from the connection. Very important. Because you're going to get sick. You must have a ways and means to make this transaction that you need to make in order to get some drug. You learn all the methods and manipulations in order to get some what you need. You learn all the substitutions that goes along with that. Because the heroin was not available, morphine was. And I had a dance with morphine for a lot of years. The military had a lot of morphine. And me being a thief, as I was, I had business to take care of. They had a lot of stuff to steal, a lot of stuff to sell, and I just sold stuff and used stuff and find all the substitutes that went along with it. Knowing nothing about the progression of the disease, it always gets worse, never better. Even when people told me that you had a problem, I didn't have a problem. My only problem was getting some more. My only problem. Or getting me too far from the connection where I couldn't find something. But I would learn at the same time, addicts all over the world talk the same language. There's a special language that we talk to one another. We know one another at any place on the globe. We know what to find, know what to look for, know who to look for, and what to carry with you to go get some. We know. It's almost automatic. We do enough sign language and stuff and had no language problem. None. We know each other. And we'll know it, and this disease, as I say, always gets worse and never better. But I played the same thing in the service. I played the game of pretense in the service. I give them enough merits on one side to kind of weigh out the demerits on the other. You up to that one? It's called, I used to call polishing brass. I was a good soldier, made recommendations and commendations and all this good shit over here to make it look good, so when I messed up, they relate to it and say, he's a good soldier. Huh? So it kind of balances it up a little bit, And I just escaped many times of the things that I got involved in, I got away with a hand slap. Don't you do that no more. But this disease, I said, always gets worse and never better. The events and the occasions of these things happen to become more frequent. To the place of my ability to even cover up. Can't do it. Can't do it. Addiction says, go get it. We'll wake you up in the middle of the night, early in the morning, and tell you to go get it. It must be fed. And you do everything to feed it. And you care about nothing. The ways and means didn't make any difference. The chances I take didn't make any difference. My ability to be in places where I was supposed to be, I was not capable of being there. Because I was off chasing it, trying to get well, in order that I could function at any level. And then we do all the bizarre things that go along with it. As I said, it gets to the place where everybody knows you got a problem, and they start pointing at you and start looking at you and they start demanding that you do something about your problem. And I told them I didn't have a problem as long as I couldn't get too far from connection. I was in good shape, But they weren't going along with that. So what the military had done for me, they, make a long story short, he said, they locked me up and sent me back to the States because I had stayed out of this country over 9 years. Because it was easier for me to function and play crazy outside the country than it was here in the United States. So it was kind of one of those things, that my behavior became so bizarre that it was being noticed by too many people, So what they did was they didn't allow me to carry drugs on their installations or transport drugs and use drugs and all that other good stuff. So they locked me up, But they done a crueler thing. They put me out on the street and told me I could make it because I didn't have a problem. I told them I didn't have a problem. I told the psychiatrist and psychologist I didn't have a problem. And told them why I didn't have a problem. Because I know I had the game down. I know life's games. I had all the answers. Answers for questions not asked. I had answers for him. Because I had read somewhere that's the way you're supposed to do it, or how you're supposed to do it. I had never done it, but that's how you're supposed to do it. So if you had asked me about life's situations or life's questions of living, I had answers for you. Had never experienced them, but I had answers. And what they did, they threw me out on the street and told me I could make it. And one of the things, the way I ended up in California was the case, I wasn't going back home because I'd run away from home already. And it wasn't nothing at the maternal mom's house. She had a house full of, she was still trying to take care of. And I don't know if she was still whipping them into shape, but, I wasn't going back there to check that one out, So I went to California. I said I'd go to California where I know nobody. I don't know why I thought going to California was going to be a big trip of recovery or whatever it was. But I know it's a change of plans. Most people I know, when they're locked up or in some type of rehab or something, they have a plan for living when they get out. Huh? They write great programs of what you're going to do when you get out. And if you're like me, like most addicts I know, they lose them somewhere between their release and where they get home. Most of them have business to take care of. And I don't know why they get so much business to take care of. They can be locked up 10 years, and the first thing they say, I got business to take care of when I get out. What kind of business you got to take care of? Huh? I understand what kind of business you take care of. When somebody tell me that, I tell them, come on, shit. I know it. Yeah. Old places and old faces. Huh? I know what it is. Because that's what I used to do. Yeah. And everybody else, you get out, they used to come by the same spot and see if I was still there. I used to go by the same spot to see if they're still there. Huh? And get a taste for old time's sake. Huh? Just a little. See, I never set out any given time to get hooked on anything. Far back as I remember. Every time I used anything, I got hooked. Without exception. Every time. That should have told me something after those things reoccurring time and time again. But people like us don't learn from that. For some reason, I don't know what it is, I just didn't learn. It didn't seem to sink in or something. That time and time again, I'd get out, hit the ground, run by these hot spots, right? Before I got home, and check it out. Well, where's Joe? Where's Paul? Where's his sister Sue? Well, how about a little taste for old time's sake? All right. And I've often run again to go back to jail. Time and time again. Just sit up there and write the master plan of how I'm going to run the rest of my life. Or ruin it. And I had the master plan was all the things that I was going to do in order to stay out, in order to have a good life. I had the words, I had the, the kind of information as to what's supposed to happen or transpire, but I had no direction. I had no formula for doing it. And I had nobody I could go to and say, how do you do this thing called living? Because the people I hung out with were just like myself. They weren't doing too swell either. So I couldn't hardly ask them, and I couldn't tell my partners I was going to get to be a lame and be a square. Huh? That's not cool. So it was always a case of we're going to clean up tomorrow. We sit around the table over the spoon and talk about, well, we got to clean up. Shit. Damn. Maybe tomorrow we're going to do it. Yeah, we're going to do it tomorrow. Shit, okay. Yeah. Give me a few more drops. Yeah. You know how we do. We bake good. Yeah, if we can. Yeah. But this diseases of such nature, the shit that we become confronted with become more bizarre in the sense of speaking. It become more critical, the critical parts of it. And one of the things that I came out, and the first thing when I hit the ground was, I went right from mama's house to military mama, and right out of military mama to penitentiary mama. Now, I don't have no mama. I need a mama. See? Because I need somebody to take care of me. See? I need 3 hots and a cot and no responsibility. So I can play in the street. And there's a lot of mothers out there looking for a son to take care of. And I volunteered. Yeah? I volunteered. Now, I went through a succession of mothers in this process, because we have to, call them out because the ones that don't work and the ones that will. Now, we have a lot of volunteers, but sometimes they don't measure up. Especially if you get a shooting mother, you're in deep shit. Because they can't meet the criteria. They can't come visit you when you get locked up. They can't pay the lawyer. Can't pay bail. And most of the time, very often, don't have no place for you to stay when you get out. So after you run through a succession of those, you get keen after a while, and you start being very discretionary as to what you choose. You know, if you don't have a maternal mother that's going to hang in the corner with you, you find any mother will do. One to just volunteer and say, I'm going for your shit. Or I'm going to help you get your shit together. I found one of those. I'm going to help you get your shit together. She had a place to stay. She had a job. She was going to school. She kept a nice house, kept the bills paid up, and cooked good. And was going for my bullshit. Very important. Very important. So we had a thing going on. Huh? But one of her conditions were that we had to get married. I don't know what she thought papers was going to do, but hey. No problem. No problem. I do. Yeah. Volunteer. She had a willing volunteer. Yeah. See, if people don't have our problems, when they get to that position of pain, they go get help. See, she didn't have a drug problem. She had a people problem. She's trying to fix people. Eh? And I was a volunteer, but I run the lady crazy. I'd go to get a loaf of bread and be gone 6 months. Or call her from distant places. They got me again. Huh? Got to the place where they told us, well, I know where you are. I don't want to hear that, you know. Can I get a bail? Can you bail me out? Can you get me a lawyer? Can you, you know. Help me. And each time, you know, it'd be the same thing. I'd run through the mill. She'd be out in the street running out there trying to find out where I was. And I was usually headed back to jail somewhere, you know, to do it over again. But at the same time, she went to get some help for herself. And the first thing she ran into was some old Al-Anoners. Y'all heard of that? Huh? First thing they told her to say, put the sucker out. You know we'd played that game before, huh? You gotta go. And I was always going tomorrow. I'll go leave tomorrow. Yeah. I'm going to get it together tomorrow. I'm going to get some help tomorrow. And I run that game around for a while. You know, I'm going to get some help for tomorrow. I used to carry an application for the hospital at Lexington. I used to have one of the applications. I wore it out wearing it in my back pocket. I used to show it to the judge when I went down there when he trying to get some help. What are you doing like about? I got an application. Yeah. The vain attempts we have are talking about doing something about the problem of addiction. And you have to realize, you know, during the time that I was using, I started using in 1945, which will give you a fix on a date. A long time ago, huh? They were junkies then, too. But the attitude, the social attitude about addicts were concerned, was shoot them. And that hadn't been too many years removed that's what they thought about addicts anyhow. They didn't know what to do with them. As far as they're concerned, they were just like lepers. Put them on some island by themselves and let them kill each other or something. They had a very nasty attitude as far as addicts were concerned. Had zero tolerance as far as addicts were concerned. So I found myself, you know, like in 1959, about to run this lady crazy, and she run into these out and now they told her to put me out and all this good stuff. And I told her I was trying to help myself and I was going to do better, so there wasn't a whole lot of places you could go to ask for about getting help. And they told her about this here organization called Narcotics Anonymous. Now, I had never heard of no Narcotics Anonymous, no AA, no NA, no PA, none of them A's. And I wasn't looking too much for them anyhow. As long as my needs could be met as I wanted to be met, great. I didn't have to look for none of those. But she kind of squeezed me in the corner and said, if you can stay here, if you're going to do such a thing, you got to get some help. And she got very adamant about it. And she found this thing called Narcotics Anonymous in some foreign country, as far as I'm concerned. I told you I wasn't getting out of South Central. That's where I moved to when I got to Los Angeles, and I wasn't going out of South Central. Tell me over the hill. There was a place called like Sun Valley. It's just like the suburbs. Knew nothing about them. As far as I'm concerned, they didn't exist, because I didn't go over there. Called Over the Hill. It was kind of like up over a pass there in Sun Valley. It's called Studio City and North Hollywood and all. I didn't know where they were. I'd been in Los Angeles a long time. I still didn't know where they were. They told her about this thing called Narcotics Anonymous. Now, how the chances of they have one meeting in the world and she go find it? Sharp dope fiend like me, I sent her to the meeting. Told her to go check it out. You have to realize in 1959, I told you addicts weren't wanted nowhere. Wasn't tolerated. Had to send a scout out to check it out. Might be a trap. So she brought me back this information, talking about there's some people sitting around the table, reading out this book and helping each other stay clean. I thought, is that all that's happening out there? Yeah. He said, that's help, Yeah. I go out there and get the benefit of my worldly travel and great knowledge about drug addiction. Now, I went out there and, as I said, walked into the room there's about 5 to 10 addicts sitting around the table, reading out this here book and talking about staying clean and problem solving. Bob would come in with some problems. Bob come in, didn't have no money, didn't have no job, needed a new old lady, needed a car, needed some money. Didn't have no driver's license because the state had took him. Can you help me? They said, keep coming back, Bob. And I would arrive at meetings loaded. My problem was not alcohol, right? I was a dope thing. So I'd get me a short dog before I go to meet. Knock me off about half of it so I could get loose by the time I get there. So Bob could talk. Bob would get to running off at the mouth. I would read for them because they couldn't read. Bob could read. He knew where the commas and periods were. He could enunciate pretty good. She would ask me, what happened at the meeting tonight? I'd tell her I worked the steps for him. But it was kind of a pacifier as far as she's concerned. She knew I was going out to this meeting, and we had one meeting, and then we had a floater. You had to be at the first meeting in order to know where the floater was going to be. And when it was at my house, you wouldn't know if it was going to be there or not, because I might not be there. Everybody arrived at the meeting. Bob had to go get some sugar and cream and touch them and wouldn't come back. And this went on for a couple of years, and to the point where, at one point she got, the nerve where something happens in the voice when you say, when you really mean it, when you're not jiving, if something happens, something in the inflection in your voice that changes the tone. When you come home and your stuff is packed by the door, you ain't got much shit left anyhow. Your stuff is by the door, and she said, you got to go. And it's not like you had to go before. Huh? It's different. It's called get your shit and split. Get there? Huh? Before I love you, but you got to go, baby. Sorry, you got to go. And of course, my attitude thing was expression, well, go where? Go wherever you go when you're not here. That's getting it down to a science. Now, one of the things that happen when you come into rooms of Narcotics Anonymous, you get a book or a pamphlet or something of that nature that have the formula in it for recovery. Now, if you come to meetings and if you get your ears on and you hear the 12 steps, one of the things that happen here, you don't have the excuse that you had for so long. I don't know. It might mean that you ain't going to do nothing, but you don't have that excuse we had for a long time. I don't know. Because that was the famous words I used to say, anybody confront me with anything. I don't know. That means I don't want to do nothing. Don't want to take responsibility. Okay? But we come into rooms of Narcotics Anonymous, we get that pamphlet or that book or something, or hear the steps, and we take the opportunity to look at them and to hear them and hear somebody talk about them. We don't have that, I don't know no more. The responsibility is yours from then on. You've been given the tools to work with for recovery. Now, you can ignore them if you want to. It's all right, because most of us do. Because they seemingly don't apply to what I think significant is about my recovery is concerned. Because my recovery is, I thought I had conditions on what recovery is supposed to be like. It had to be in a certain place, under certain conditions, and they all had to be ideal. Well, I wasn't going to do them. And then I'm going to change some of the steps anyhow. Because they don't apply. They need to be rewritten. Because you don't understand. See, I don't go to church and y'all talking about God and spirituality. Well, not me. Didn't have one, don't want one, Didn't study all the religions of the world, and, as far as I'm concerned, hey, it's all fake and phony. Now, I'm having difficulty with words anyhow. Most addicts I know have difficulty with words. We read the word, we just don't understand what it means. So we're in deep shit in the first place. Now, I read the steps over and over again and didn't know part of the first step. One word in there just seemed to baffle the hell out. It wasn't that I didn't understand it in terms of I heard the word, I could pronounce the word, I just didn't understand what the word meant. Now, if I can't get by the first step, I definitely can't do the second. Now, I knew nothing about addiction. It said something about being powerless over addiction. Now, all I thought was, is you stop using, lieutenant or captain tell me, Bob, this is the way you do it, and this is the way you do it. I'll say, yes, sir, and go do it Bob's way. I was always running into conflict like that. I couldn't understand why Mom used to knock me down, But I've always said, this is what I want you to do. Bob, do it Bob's way. Bob always had the better way. At least I thought I did. If I had any success about doing something, I thought that was the way to do it. Shortcut was my name of the game. But I learned very slowly. But I learned quite well. Because this here disease of ours will get us ready to do something about our disease. It becomes terminal, and you either have to do one or two things. You want to live or you want to die. That's not a whole lot to choose, is it? And the choice is yours. See, I have no qualms about a person want to die. Hey, don't play with sitting on the fence. If that's what you want to do, my hat's off to you. Go do it. But learn how to experience some new things. And one of the things that happen here in the rooms like this, here, even under protest, you can have contempt for these here steps and it still work. They don't give a shit what you think about. Because I worked the steps out of contempt. Because I was going to show you these steps didn't apply to me. I'll show you. And once you see that I'm going to work the steps and they don't work for me, y'all change them. Keep coming back, Bob. They never told me not to come back. They throw things at you. They steps work like cast off, Bob. They work whether you think they work or not. So all you got to do is take it. See what happens. given a reasonable amount of time, something happens. That's plain talk, huh? And that's the way I had to work them, in that kind of contempt. Like, I'll show you the steps ain't going to work, because I'm going to work them and show you they ain't going to work. Oh, yeah? Even with the absence of some higher power experience, they worked. I believe that you believe, by whatever means. And that's what I was thinking about earlier, you know, like it's kind of like the Bible Belt thing in a way. They call it the Bible Belt. I don't know what that's all about, but they do talk more in a godly sense or a more religious sense in the southern states than they do in a lot of the northern states or other places. It's part of the culture of the land, you know. And it was always the kind of thing. I was always fighting establishment. Always fighting establishment. I wanted to be different. I wanted to start my own establishment. You know, I wanted to be my way. You know. And I don't know why, because my way was always not very successful. You look like you would take success. You know. So it was the kind of thing I came here with not no conscious God concept or no conscious God interaction. And it took me 3 or 4 years to get to that particular point where I got some God experience. Now, I know a lot of people learn how to talk about pray. Somebody was talking about pray for me. Yeah, pray for me, baby. Shit. That's the reason, probably how I got here. And it wasn't by my prayers. Man. I didn't learn how to pray until after I got here. Somebody else prayed me in here. Now I got to pray me to keep me here. And then I learned about the power of prayer, and I got greedy. Oh, man, prayer's answered. Oh, hallelujah. Shit. It didn't have to be in no particular form or no particular religion. If prayers are still answered. And I got to petitioning. I got to begging. I started asking for shit. I got everything I asked for. Show you the power of prayer. I get serious about it. Shit, I know they can get an answer. I started begging for 3 of those and 5 of those. Give me that one. That's what I want. Yeah. I had to learn another prayer to have them taken away, but I mean, prayer worked anyhow. My prayers are very simple today. It's called help. You know. Because I know not to pray for things, because I don't know what all the conditions of those things that I pray for. Because I put them conditional, you know. And I don't know what you say when it comes to me, not the way I think. I didn't ask for it like that. Sure, okay. I wanted, you know, different color, it's a little taller or something. I just asked for it, you know, because I didn't know what I was doing. You know. I just found out it worked, and I was using it, you know. And I found out the steps worked. I found out I started feeling different. I started feeling better about the conditions of my living that I liked. I said, oh, that's all right. Shit, damn, that's pretty cool. Shit, damn. Do some more of that. So I got involved. You know, you're talking about getting involved in this thing that was making me feel good. Just like I did my using, I got involved in working with others and running and, you know, doing this thing. I got to be a service junkie. Huh? I'm going to fix all of you now. Give you this good thing. Yeah. Even when you don't want it, I'm going to give it to you. Yeah. But I'm going to present it to you, you know, hopefully that you can reach out and grasp and understand it, that it can work for you. Under the most difficult circumstances. Even with contempt. You don't have to believe it and it will work if you allow it to work on you, for you, by the process of doing the things that are suggested. And you can't do it alone because we work together. Because I don't have the information alone. And it's sent to me by all means. It's sent to me. I learned things from the last person to come through the door, from little babies that come walking around here. You know, they teach me some shit and they said that I'm baffled how they know about this shit. And they're only 2 years old. They're not, you know, all messed up already. They know how to do things. Probably the only thing, sometimes the only person in the room to know how to do something. The rest of us in here just mumbling and bumbling, you know. Little 2-year-old just come in here, take off and do it. Yeah. Unencumbered by all that bullshit, you know. But the steps were working, they work well. And it's the processes I think that I could suggest to anyone, before you, cut it loose, try it the way it's suggested. In its entirety, in its continuity, as it is, written, as it has been experienced of it working. I usually equate it to a recipe or a formula for living. That's very exacting. That has been tried over and over again. But addicts like us, we feel we're the exception rather than the rule most of the time. But you don't understand. I said 99% of the time, this is the way it works. Addict would sit over in the corner and say, how about the 1%? And we'll try his damnedest to be the 1%. Time and time again, I've done it, I was always questioning, throwing that one out. How about the 1%? What's the character of the 1%? But we come into rooms like this and we find the people like ourselves that we can recover and live a useful and productive life. And I think one of the things is, I think that we think this is an exercise in futility. What you mean I got to go to the meetings forever? I got to. Who are you doing it for? Do you want to enjoy living? Or are you going to do it for somebody else? See, I still like to have fun. I still like to enjoy my living. That's all I ever wanted to do in the first place. And I thought there was some opposition about when life shows up that I wasn't enjoying living. Because life showed up. Life will show up anywhere I am. It will show up forever. I must learn how to deal with life. And I think this is one of the things we learn here. That we can overcome. That we don't have to do it alone. And that we have somebody that's running it anyhow. You are not. And what a revelation that I wasn't running it. I'm in good shape now. Yeah, I'm not running. I turn it over early in the morning. Hey, baby, here we go. What we got to do today? See it. Go out and kick some ass, huh? All right. Go out and face whatever I got to face. Give me the necessary stuff to ever face what I got to face and do the right things about the process of doing it. To just be out there and being a part of living. To be experiencing what there is to be experiencing living. To enjoy what I do today. Regardless of what it might be. I don't have the fears of getting up in the morning and facing life and talking about the bear. The bear kicking ass. Bear been kicking ass all the time. I just have to do the things I need to do for Bob. And in the process, if I'm doing the right things for me, I'm going to do the right things for you. I learned something about a consciousness. I have a conscience today. And I didn't want to have a conscience. I wanted to do things without a conscience. And I find I got one. Sometimes it stops me from doing the things I'm not supposed to be doing. Not as much as it says the things I'm supposed to be doing. I have a conscience about that. I got to get about business and kick myself in the behind and do it. But we learn about growing up. Addicts have not grown up. If you're like me, I'm still in the process. I don't know when I'm going to be growing up. I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. I just want to be a better me than I was. That's all. There are no deadlines. There's no time frame in which in order for you to grow up and get this here program called Narcotics Now. The steps are where they are, where recovery is. You don't run it anyhow, so turn it over to that who runs it. It's such a relief. Such a relief when I stop struggling, thinking I'll run something, think I can do it myself, by myself. When I ask for help, I get help. The things I pray is just for a better me. And that's all I ask for. And I enjoy my living today. I hope that's the reason why you come to get clean and to experience recovery, is to learn how to enjoy living. Because that's what it's all about. We just didn't like to be feeling those feelings and doing those things we had to do for so many years. It kept us out there in that garbage that we used to grovel in and roll in and think of it that was the only way to go. Come join us in Narcotics Anonymous and learn how to live and enjoy living. We do it together. We stick out our hands and we say help to one another. Or my extended hand is to help you to get over one of those places that you might have some difficulty. We do it together. Don't try to do it alone. An addict alone is in bad company. Bad company. So when you find yourself alone, you know you're in bad company and you want to do something about it, change where you are. Do something else. Come join us in Narcotics Anonymous where recovery is taking place. And I'm glad to be here rather than somewhere else. I'm where I'm supposed to be. At any given time, I'm where I'm supposed to be. I want to thank you. Yeah.